Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. We are from Group 10. Our title for today is 21st Century Learning. I am Zarina binti Hashim and I will be the first presenter for today. First of all, what is 21st Century Learning? According to Lema P. Vinida, Maria Teresa M. Rodriguez, Sherwin B. Sapin, Nilda S. Alforja, Cisco, and P. Panopio, 2020, the 21st Century Skill is a global framework and one of the essential core elements of the K-12 Basic Education Program of the Department of Education. So from the statement, it means that this 21st century learning is actually the cause for the holistic development of learners in the fast-changing 21st century world. The framework formulated by the Partnership for 21st Century's Skill includes learning and innovation skills, information, media and technology skills, and life and career skills. Now, why do we need 21st century learning? In this globally and digitally interconnected world, to succeed, all learners need new skills and knowledge from cradle to career. Opportunities to learn 21st century skills are important if we want to prepare our kids for success in education, work, and life. These skills of the 21st century are more important than ever before to students today. The question is, why do we need 21st century learning? Not only do they provide a foundation for effective classroom learning, but they also ensure that learners can succeed in an environment where change is constant and learning never stops. And they are also tremendously important for the well-being of our country. To ensure our success in the global economy, our business environment needs a workforce with this skill. And we want our students to join the world with an appreciation of what it takes to be a good citizen at a time when our public life feels strange. Okay, now let's move on to the 21st century skills in Malaysia education system. As we all know, Malaysia is a country that is moving towards a developed nation. Rapid advance in science and technology, critical thinking skills, and effective communication skills are essential in 21st century learning. Teaching and learning of the 21st century has different features to the education of the past. 21st century learning has a huge impact on the education system in Malaysia. This is taken from Muhammad Jasmi Abdul Rahman, Manisa Muhammad Alim, and McClifton, 2020. So the Ministry of Education has identified 21st century skills which are relevant to the Malaysian context that intends to produce well-balanced students with high durable spirit, inquisitive, disciplined, informative, innovative, patriotic, cooperative, with higher order thinking and good communication skills. Okay, now what is 4IR? Okay, according to Quraisa M. and Fariza Khalid and Hazrati Husnain 2020, the fourth industrial revolution or 4IR defined as a complete digitization process that connects orders from the customer and manufacturing up to the after-sales service. Okay, this is the impacts of 4IR or fourth industrial revolution. It gives a broad impact on most current job characteristics, not least resulting in the loss of traditional jobs and creating a new job opportunity. To stay relevant in the job market, one needs to have skills and the will to learn and relearn. The new job field will focus more on non-routine activities and include higher cognitive levels and soft skills. Therefore, this is an important trait which graduates must fulfill to meet the need of employers and to make themselves relevant and marketable. Okay, now let us take a look at what is digital natives. Digital native is people that are born during the smart mobile technology era that conversant very well with technology. They know how stuff regarding technology and are born during technology era. They taught to use computers and most of the time using mobile technologies. So the process of preparing students' marketability in higher institution education is significantly critical. Students today are extensively exposed to technology and use it in most of their daily undertakings. However, does being born after the digital era make these generations automatically digital literate? Now, what is digital literacy and digital natives? Kirshner and Brooker believe that the term digital native is too general and can be questionable. Even though students of this generation are used to the ever-connected digital world, they may not always be able to utilize the current technology as expected entirely. There is a digital literacy gap between them, and this literacy gap needs to be identified and minimized during the study years, making the students well prepared for the employability. This is taken from Quraisa MN, Fariza Khalid and Hazrati Husnin 2020. Okay, now let's take a look at the effects of 4IR to education. According to Surani Muhammad Ali and Habibah Ismail 2020, in the first phase of Malaysian higher education programs or MyHE 1.0, Chalk and Talk was the main teaching approach with emphasis on the instructors rather than the students. Then MyHE 2.0 introduced the use of basic technological tools and practices into the classroom. In the third phase, MyHE 3.0, more student-oriented approaches were practiced, where students were given the opportunities to explore and collaborate on social learning platforms. Now, with the MyHE 4.0, the role of the students diversified as they become the content producers and knowledge creators, guided by the global web network and the instructors. These changes are in line with the changes in the industrial revolutions, where now 4IR is the new challenge that lies ahead of all industries. Now let us take a look at the effects of 21st century to language learning. Today's language classroom is vastly different from that of the mid to late 20th century. One of the report offers a meta-analysis of recent research which provided the means to identify current and emerging trends in the field. Informed by this research, some identified trends that are shaping the 21st century language classroom are, so these are the things that are no longer in the language learning. Okay, for example, vague, hollow promises that cannot be proven, saying that learning languages is easy, authoritative teacher attitudes, complaining about cutbacks and lack of funding, and language labs. Now, let us take a look at what are the things that are in the language classroom. First, clear, probable demonstrations of learning, frameworks, benchmarks, and other asset-based approaches to assessment, individualized, customizable, learner-centered approaches, proving the value of language learning through stories and speech, using technology for language learning, linking language learning to leadership skills, and showing funders the impact their investment has on our students, our communities, and our world. So in short, the focus in language education in the 21st century is no longer on grammar, memorization, and learning from rote, but rather using language and cultural knowledge as a means to communicate and connect to others around the globe. Geographical and physical boundaries are being transcended by technology as students learn to reach out to the world around them, using their language and cultural skills to facilitate the connections they are eager to make. Okay, now let us take a look at the challenges and way forward for IR in language and education realm. To make sure that the language and education industry remain relevant and a vital component to the 4IR-oriented world. The education industry needs to be on a par with the demands of the 4IR. Universities have to change their curriculum and delivery to ensure that their graduates have jobs. One of the measures being taken is to produce holistic, balanced, and entrepreneurial graduates who can adapt and fill in jobs that are yet to exist. The challenges of the 4IR and the advent of disruptive technology that change the way we work and learn bring about the term Education 4.0, which briefly means it is a response to the needs of 4IR, where human and technology are aligned to enable new possibilities. Embracing the need of fresh ideas to catch up with the exponential technological advances, educators today face many challenges in educating their students. Among the main challenges is innovation, where teachers and educational institutions need to provide more innovative teaching and learning aids, as teaching and learning need to be in line with the current needs. In order to equip students with the necessary digital skills, instructors themselves need to learn and acquire new digital skills for their class, such as recording and editing audio and video clips, using social networking sites, and creating non-traditional quizzes by using digital applications like Quizzes, Kahoot, and etc. Many of these were not taught to them during their teacher training. Unlearning and relearning appropriate skills are pertinent and need to be addressed. Thank you.
Okay, now I will explain about forces. What are the forces in 21st century world or teaching and learning? Forces that are included is collaboration, where students working together to reach a goal, putting talent, expertise and smarts to work. The second one is communication, where they are sharing thoughts, questions, ideas and solutions. The third one is on creativity, where they are trying new approaches to get things done, equals innovation and invention. The fourth one is where they use critical thinking to be looking at problems in a new way, linking learning across subjects and disciplines. Okay, so we are moving on to 21st century skills forces in teaching and learning. So these are the elements, and I will start with critical thinking, where they have information and discovery, interpretation and analysis, reasoning, constructing arguments, problem solving and system thinking. So we want our students to be able to solve problems or whatever questions that are being thrown at them by using all of these elements in critical thinking. Okay, so the next one is on communication. So we want them to be effective listener and delivering oral presentations. They have to know how to communicate using digital media and how they are engaging themselves in conversations or discussions, and also communicating in diverse environments. And the third one is collaboration, where they learn about leadership and initiative, cooperation with each other, flexibility, responsibility and productivity, collaborate using digital media, and responsiveness and constructive feedback. They have to know how to give positive feedback and negative feedback slowly and not hurting others' feeling, and how to collaborate and cooperate better with each other. So the next one is creativity. So we want them to generate their own creative idea and to learn how to do design on idea and refinement, openness and courage to explore, work creatively with others, and producing creative production and new innovation. Now let's look at effects of forces in 21st century teaching and learning. Okay, the first one is critical thinking. So students should be able to analyze how parts of a whole interact with each other. The second one, effectively analyze and evaluate evidence. Sometimes when they are answering questions, they have to know which evidence shows that their answer is right and correct. So the third one is synthesize and make connections between informations, of course. And the next one, interpret information and draw conclusions, reflect critically, solve non-familiar problems, and identify and ask significant questions when they are needed. The second one, we are focusing on communication. So students should be able to articulate thoughts and ideas effectively when they are thinking about something. They have to know how to deliver the ideas and their opinions correctly. And second one, to listen effectively, because not everyone have the skill to listen very attentively. And the next one is to use communication for a range of purposes. The next one, utilize multiple media and technologies, since for 21st century world there are so many new technologies that has been going out, and also multiple media and channel for them to throw on their opinions, throw on their ideas and everything. So they have to know how to choose correctly and choose things that suitable to the content that they are going to deliver. And the next one is to communicate effectively. And the third one, we are focusing on collaboration. So the effects of forces with collaboration here, we are focusing on for students to work effectively and respectfully with diverse teams. So they cannot being so choosy with their team members and everything. They have to be able to cooperate with everyone, and they have to make compromises to accomplish a common goal and assume shared responsibility for work. We don't want for them to let their friends do the work and they are not doing anything to contribute to the team. And the next one is value individual contribution, because everyone play in an important role and parts in team. Alright, the next one is creativity, where we hope our students to be able to use a wide range of idea, creation and techniques. And the next one, to create new and worthwhile ideas, for them to elaborate, refine, analyze and evaluate their own ideas to improve creative efforts. So they have to know if their ideas have a flaw somewhere and how to fix it and make it better. The next one is for them to develop, implement and communicate new ideas. They have to be open and responsive to new and diverse perspective, not only looking from one-sided but also from different views. So they have to demonstrate originality and inventiveness in work, not plagiarizing or copying somebody else's work. And they have to view failure as an opportunity to learn and to make themselves better day by day. And the last one is they have to act on creative ideas to make tangible and useful contribution, not only to their teams but also for themselves. Okay, I think that is all my part. Thank you.
Next, we will continue with the strengths and weaknesses of 4Cs in 21st century learning. First of all, we need to know the skills of 4Cs in 21st century learning. There are critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. These 4 skills are essential for modern students to succeed in school and their workplace. They can make the biggest impact in terms of setting your student apart when applying for and starting their careers in the future. First, we will look at the strengths and weaknesses of critical thinking. Critical thinking is the practice of solving problems. Among other qualities, it is like working through problems, solving puzzles, and similar activities are the ways in practicing the critical thinking. This is important in the 21st century because it's harder than ever to verify the correct information that we can find. Critical thinking empowers students to discover the truth in a session, especially when it comes to separating facts from the opinion. With critical thinking, students don't just learn a set of facts or figures. Instead, they learn how to discover the facts and figures for themselves. They will ask questions. They become engaged in the world around them. They help others to think critically too. Once one student has it mastered, it quickly spreads to their peers. That might be the most important part of critical thinking. But still, critical thinking is just one of the 4Cs in 21st century skills. It works just fine when students use it alone, but we can see when students combine it with the next skill, so that student will go further in his thinking style. Next, we will look at the weaknesses of critical thinking. First, repeated mistakes. When students tend to think deeply in whatever they are thinking, and they will be very extra careful, it will lead them to repeat the same mistakes. Next one, bad decision. Sometimes it could lead to bad decision making because learners that the decision is good enough but it still not hit the target. That's why they think it's a bad decision for them to make. Next one, inaction when action is needed. It happened when learner could not think critically like what had been expected. So they couldn't think on that time so that the action wouldn't be taken at that time. Inaccurate assumption is the last one. When people think too critical, sometimes it could bring to different assumption that is not suitable or accurate to what they are looking for. Number 2, creativity. Let's look at the strengths and weaknesses of creativity. Creativity is the practice of thinking outside of the box. While creativity is often treated like you have it or you don't have the quality, students can learn how to be creative by solving problems, creating systems, or just trying something that they haven't tried before. That doesn't mean that every student will become an artist or a writer or even a master when they are doing it. Instead, it means that they will be able to look at the problems from multiple perspectives, including those that others may not see. Creativity allows students to embrace their inner strengths, from big picture planning to the small organization. As a student learns about their creativity, they also learn how to express it in healthy and productive ways. What is the important thing is they can also become motivated to share the creativity with others. Just like with critical thinking that makes creativity contagious. One student creates an interesting or innovative solution to a problem, then they will share it. The next student can become inspired to try the same thing. That's not to say that every creative things will be a ringing success. Students will fail at some point and some of their ideas simply won't work, but that is a normal thing. The point of creativity is to encourage students to think differently than convention demands. They don't have to do things the way that they have always been done. Instead, they can figure it out a better way. Students don't have to embrace their creativity alone. They can share it with others too. In fact, creativity works best when combined with the next 21st century skill. The weaknesses of creativity. It will encourage children to feel safe in taking risks in their inquiries. For example, when they are too comfortable in doing creative work, they tend to take risks in many things that they are going to do. It's a good thing, but it will lead to frustration of that students as well. Next one, having a lot of ideas. Having a lot of ideas against another can lead to confusions. For example, it happens when learners do not know how to make the correct decision. That's why critical thinking plays an important part in this section. When there are more ideas, it becomes harder to identify its goal. It will lead to the unsuccessful impact. The third one is collaboration. Let's look at the strengths and weaknesses of collaboration. Collaboration is the practice of working together to achieve a common goal. Collaboration is important because whether students realize it or not, they will probably working with other people for the rest of their life. Virtually every job requires someone to work with another person at some point, even if it's not for something as simple as what, like for example, when they want to get lunch, so they need to collaborate to get the things that they wanted. Practicing collaboration and teamwork helps students understand how to address a problem, pinch solution, and decide the best course of an action. It's also helpful for them to learn that other people don't always have the same ideas that they do. In fact, as students practice collaboration more and more, they will learn that they have almost none of the same ideas that others do. This can affect students in one of two ways. First, it could discourage them since nobody seems to agree with them that often. Second, it could embolden them because they realize that they are bringing something unique to every conversation. As a teacher, we should encourage our students to look at themselves through this thing. That way, students can learn that they should speak up when they have an idea. They may not be 100% correct of all the time, and some of their peers may have strong, opinionated reaction, but it will teach them to speak up when they are working with others. Next, weaknesses of collaboration. First, it could discourage them since nobody seems to agree with them all the time. For example, in a group, they might have different style of thinking of many students in a group, so they might not accepting one's opinion that's not meet their standard in their own group. Second, they might have the competition between their partners. It is not a healthy way of practicing the collaborative mindsets. For example, it should give them benefits of doing the collaborative program or things together with their friends by not burdening them when they collaborate with other people. Some people in groups may have lack of information and experience, so the other one who are quite good feel disappointed. Other than that, if the team have lack of resources, it will bring them to not well prepared situation, especially at decision making stage. The last one is communication. Let's look at the strengths and weaknesses of communication. Communication is the practice of conveying ideas quickly and clearly. Communication is always taken for granted in today's society. For example, if people giving some opinion, or if like I'm saying something, that's mean I'm giving you some ideas, isn't it? That is an example of communication. In the age of text-based communication, SMS, emails, social medias, and etc., it's never been more important for students to learn how to convey their thoughts in a way that others can understand them. That's because text-based communication lack tone which is critical to understanding the context of someone's words if they are just conveying information by communicating. Still, even in situations where vocal tone is available, students need to learn how to communicate effectively. For example, like if we are reading an audience, even if just two of people in a group discussion, let students decide whether they should keep expanding on an idea or wrap up their own point. The audience could be even their family members at the family gathering or dinner. It can be a way to practice their communication. The point is that as students practice communication, they become better and at efficiency conveying an idea without losing their point in the wits, so they can speak well. With communication strategies, students can streamline their ideas and make a positive impression on those around them. It is important to note that communication isn't enough on its own to help students with 21st century skills. To really succeed, students need to use all of four of these skills together. The last one is the weaknesses of communication. First, if we are not focusing on what people say, we might lose the important ideas in the conversation, so we will feel that we are not being heard by them. It is easy to forget verbal communication rather than the written form. It depends on the readiness of the people to listen to the information. Less confident to those who are not really good in the skill is the last of the weaknesses in communication. It always happens in the average classroom where students feel demotivated to speak when they are not good in a certain language.
Lastly, here are our references for our topic. Thank you.